I looked up and saw this strange object in the sky a few minutes ago. It looks like a glowing cloud with a bright center moving across the atmosphere. Does anyone know what it is? What you saw is the aftermath of a rocket launch. Specifically, this is a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket lifting off from Cape Canaveral, Florida. The glowing cloud effect you are seeing is known as the twilight phenomenon. When a rocket launches, roughly 30 to 60 minutes before sunrise or after sunset, the vehicle reaches high altitudes where it is exposed to direct sunlight, even though the ground below is wrapped in darkness. The unburned fuel particles and water vapor in the rocket's exhaust plume expand rapidly in the low pressure of the upper atmosphere. As the high-altitude sunlight hits this expanding exhaust, it illuminates it against the dark sky, creating a spectacular glowing shape. What is this tall, blinking tower sitting in the middle of a commercial parking lot? And why is it doing that? Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a lot cop, which is a mobile, solar-powered surveillance trailer heavily used in large retail parking lots. While retail chains claim these towering units are primarily designed to deter loitering and lower physical crime through their flashing strobe lights, they also function heavily as data collection nodes. They are equipped with high-definition cameras and automated license plate readers. This allows security companies to log vehicle traffic patterns, monitor crowd flow, and track repeat visitors on the premises. I saw this strange video on Amazon and could not figure out the title. It looks exactly like a cheap bootleg of the popular anime One Piece. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an animated series called Oko Lele. It is a notoriously bizarre knockoff series that occasionally surfaces on streaming platforms. Bootleg animations like this often copy character designs from massively successful franchises to capitalize on search algorithms and confuse buyers. I found this vintage-looking tool at a local estate sale. The casing has a label that reads Solco Engineering Hand Scanner, but it doesn't look like any computer scanner I have ever seen. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an early handheld metal detector designed for security screening. Before modern ergonomic wands became standard at airports and concert venues, security personnel relied on these bulky, box-like scanners to check for concealed weapons. Inside the plastic housing is a coil of wire. When electricity passes through it, it generates a magnetic field. If a metal object enters that field, it creates an anomaly that the internal circuitry detects, triggering an audible alarm. These older units are now obsolete due to modern, lighter induction technology. I found this hinged plastic ring, and I vaguely remember it coming with something else, but that might be a false memory. I originally thought it was for wrapping corded headphones, but the folding arms do not make mechanical sense for that. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a pom-pom maker, a common crafting tool used in knitting and crochet. To use it, a crafter wraps yarn repeatedly around the two semicircular plastic arms while they are opened outward. Once thick with yarn, the arms are folded shut into a full circle. The maker then cuts the yarn along the outside groove and ties a tight knot around the center axis. When the plastic tool is pulled apart, it leaves behind a perfectly spherical, fluffy pom-pom. I received this as a gift, but I was too embarrassed to ask the person what it actually does. It can fit in the palm of my hand, opens up into a curved shape, and seems to have a magnet at the back. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a foldable purse hook. This clever mechanical accessory is designed to keep your belongings off dirty floors. The magnetic back is actually a weighted anti-slip disc that rests flat on the edge of a table or bathroom stall wall. The articulated metal links unfurl to create a sturdy hook below the table edge, using gravity and the weight of your bag to lock the disc firmly in place against the surface. When not in use, the links wrap around the magnetic base for compact storage in your pocket. What is this sharp, slightly curved metal hand tool? An initial image search suggests it might be a bearing scraper, but the exact purpose and function are not entirely clear to me. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Babbitt bearing scraper. Babbitt metal is a soft, friction-reducing alloy originally patented by Isaac Babbitt in 1839. In older engines and heavy machinery, mechanics would pour molten Babbitt directly around a shaft to cast custom bearings. Once the metal cooled, the surface was often slightly uneven. Machinists used this sharp, curved tool to manually scrape away microscopic layers of the soft metal, perfectly shaping the bearing to match the shaft. Additionally, the curved tip is used to carve shallow oil grooves into the metal surface, which helps distribute lubrication evenly across the spinning parts. I found this unusual metal thing hidden behind our 112-year-old fireplace during a recent renovation. It looks like a custom hand tool, but I am completely stumped by its specific shape. Does anyone know what it is? It's a vintage pot lid lifter. Back when homes utilized wood burning or coal stoves, cast iron pots and their heavy lids would become incredibly hot. To avoid severe burns, blacksmiths or even homeowners themselves would forge custom lifting tools out of scrap steel. By wedging the hooked end under the cast iron handle, a cook could safely maneuver boiling pots or stoke the fire underneath. While mass-produced versions existed by the early 20th century, this one appears to be a practical, hand-forged piece made right at home. I found this unusual ceramic item and decided to take it home. It consists of two heavy textured pieces that fit together, but there are no obvious brand markings. Does anyone know what it is? It's a fancy ceramic herb grinder, which functions as a modern take on the traditional mortar and pestle. Instead of using a crushing impact, you place herbs between the two grooved ceramic plates and rotate the top piece back and forth. The friction generated by the rough ceramic teeth efficiently tears and grinds the organic material down to a fine consistency. It is an excellent tool for quickly processing fresh herbs or dried spices without bruising them. I was cleaning out my cat's litter box and found this strange object poking out of a clump. I got instantly worried that my cat might have ingested something dangerous or had a medical issue. Does anyone know what it is? It's a piece of dried, hot melt adhesive from the cardboard box of kitty litter. During the manufacturing and packaging process, industrial machines apply thick strips of this heavy-duty glue to firmly seal the bottom flaps of the heavy cardboard boxes. Occasionally, a stray glob of the molten adhesive drips into the product itself before the box is sealed shut. It is completely harmless and simply poured out into the tray along with the fresh litter. What are these strange dotted patterns seen on Google Maps in the Grand Mesa forest of western Colorado? They look man-made due to their exact spacing. Zooming in shows lots of downed trees on the ground, but the grid-like pattern is highly unusual. Does anyone know what it is? What you are seeing is the aftermath of commercial timber harvesting, specifically the resulting logging slash. When forestry companies clear-cut or thin a forest, they strip the valuable timber and leave behind the branches, treetops, and woody debris. Heavy machinery operators use grapples to gather these leftovers into evenly spaced circular piles. These slash piles are strategically organized across the cleared acreage so they can decompose naturally, be safely burned during the winter months, or provide temporary habitats for local wildlife. My friend got this plastic container from Goodwill to use for crafts, but we are both stumped. It has all these unusual, narrow slots inside. Does anyone know what it is? This object is actually a specialty ice cube tray. While it looks like a great sorting box for beads or hardware, it is designed to mold water into long, narrow cylindrical sticks. Standard rectangular or cubic ice cubes often do not fit through the narrow necks of reusable aluminum water bottles or standard plastic store-bought bottles. By filling these slots with water and placing the tray in the freezer, you create slender ice sticks that slide perfectly into tight bottle openings, keeping your drinks cold on the go without the need for a wide-mouth container. I've lived in this house for 5 years, and there's always been this strange button-looking thing above my closet that connects to the ceiling light. The house was built in the early 1900s. The top part spins a little but doesn't come off. Could it be a surge protector? Does anyone know what it is? It's a junction box cover. Originally, there was a light fixture mounted in that specific spot. When previous owners decided to install a new ceiling light, they removed the old fixture, but needed a safe way to connect the existing electrical wires to the new wiring. By electrical code, spliced wires cannot be hidden inside a wall or ceiling without access. They must be enclosed in a junction box with a removable cover to prevent fire hazards and allow for future maintenance. I found this strange object on the floor next to the door of my rented room. It is only about 1 inch long. The bottom section has me really confused because it features a shiny grid-like pattern that looks exactly like some sort of miniature solar panel. Does anyone know what it is? It's a replacement blade attachment for a Philips one-blade electric trimmer. The Dutch technology conglomerate Philips introduced the one-blade grooming system in 2016. The section you thought was a solar panel is actually the metallic connector and internal micro-vibration drive block. When attached to the battery-powered handle, a tiny motor engages this block and rapidly vibrates the dual-sided blade mechanism at over 200 times per second. This mechanical action allows the micro-teeth to slice cleanly through thick facial hair without pulling or catching the skin. I noticed the 10-watt LED light bulb in my desk lamp has a weird flat spot. It looks exactly like someone melted their thumbprint right into the plastic casing. Last night, I taped sheets of tissue paper to the outside of the lamp to block a screen glare, but I took them off after just 5 minutes. Does anyone know what happened? What you found is a thermally deformed LED bulb casing. Even though modern LED bulbs are highly efficient, the internal components, specifically the diodes and metal heat sinks, still generate significant thermal energy. By covering the lamp fixture with tissue paper, you heavily restricted the airflow and insulated the bulb. The trapped heat caused the internal pressure to build up, while simultaneously softening the plastic dome. A small bubble expanded, formed a microscopic pinhole to release the trapped gas, and then immediately collapsed inward as it cooled, creating that distinct thumbprint shape. This indicates severe overheating, and the bulb should be discarded immediately to prevent an electrical fire. I found this strange object while cleaning up a room in a funeral home after all the guests had left. It has a small pin or needle in it, maybe to attach to a shirt. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a continuous glucose monitor, commonly known as a CGM. Specifically, this looks like the applicator or disposable sensor portion of a device used by diabetics to track their blood sugar levels in real time. That tiny pin or needle is designed to insert a microscopic, flexible filament just under the skin, measuring glucose levels in the interstitial fluid. The sensor then uses wireless technology to transmit the data directly to a smartphone or medical receiver, eliminating the need for constant finger pricks. I found this washed up on the beach. It has a greenish color, a segmented structure, and is surprisingly flexible. Does anyone know what it is? It's a piece of a crustacean shell. More specifically, this appears to be the shed exoskeleton, or the remains of a tail section, from a marine arthropod, similar to a mantis shrimp or a lobster. Crustaceans must molt their hard outer shells to grow, leaving behind these flexible, protein and chitin-based casings in the water. The green coloration is common in the natural camouflage of many coastal bottom dwellers. Eventually, the sun and salt water will break this organic material down completely. I spotted this small plastic object left on a table at a brewery near Austin, Texas. At first glance, it looks a bit like a miniature bubble level attached to a plastic ring, but there is no bubble inside the liquid. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a miniature glow stick ring, commonly handed out at parties, raves, or evening events. The transparent plastic tube functions exactly like a standard glow stick, relying on a chemical process called chemiluminescence. Inside the flexible tube, a hydrogen peroxide solution surrounds a tiny, fragile glass vial containing a phenyl oxalate ester and a fluorescent dye. When you bend the plastic, the internal glass vial snaps, allowing the separated chemicals to mix and react. This reaction releases energy, which excites the dye molecules and generates a bright fluorescent glow without producing any heat. What is this strange, cylinder-shaped drawer pull-out on my desk? It is only located on the left side, and while I originally thought it might be a phone holder, the shape does not quite make sense for that. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a retractable headphone stand. Many modern computer desks, especially those designed for gaming or audio production, include these built-in pegs. By pulling the cylinder outward, you create a dedicated hook to hang an over-ear headset. This keeps the workspace clear and protects the headphone band from bending or cable strain. When not in use, it simply pushes back flush into the desk frame. My ex left this strange plastic tool in the kitchen drawer with all of the baking equipment. It has a sliding mechanism and what looks like a concealed blade inside. Does anyone know what it is used for? This object is known as a Progressive PrepWorks zip slicer. It is a specialized kitchen gadget designed to quickly halve small round foods like cherry tomatoes or grapes. You slide the items into the plastic tube, close the casing, and push the internal blade down the track. The enclosed blade smoothly cuts through multiple items in a single pass, saving significant preparation time compared to slicing them individually with a standard kitchen knife. I was eating a 20-piece chicken nugget meal from McDonald's when I bit into something hard. It looks like a small, rigid fragment hidden right inside the meat. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a small piece of chicken bone. Most mass-produced chicken nuggets are made using mechanically separated meat. During this automated industrial process, high pressure forces the poultry through a specialized sieve to separate the edible meat from the bones. Occasionally, a small fragment of bone manages to slip through the screen and ends up in the final product. While finding it is certainly unappetizing, it is a standard, albeit rare, byproduct of automated food processing. I bought some fresh raspberries from Costco, and when I went to wash them, I noticed these strange little beads attached to the fruit. They are uniform in size, barrel-shaped, and tightly clustered together. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a cluster of leaf-footed bug eggs. Leaf-footed bugs are common agricultural insects found across North America. The females typically lay their eggs in tight, cylindrical rows along stems, leaves, or directly on the surface of crops like raspberries and tomatoes. The eggs excrete a mild adhesive to stay attached to the fruit. While finding them on your groceries is unpleasant, these insects are completely harmless to humans, and simply washing them off with water is sufficient before eating the fruit. I am looking to add these specific flowers to a memorial tattoo sleeve. They are from my late mother's wedding bouquet, but unfortunately, nobody in my family remembers what kind of flowers they were. Does anyone know what it is? It's a floral arrangement consisting primarily of white orchids and pale yellow freesia blossoms. The prominent white flowers strongly resemble Phalaenopsis orchids, though they share visual traits with the sago lily, which is the state flower of Utah. The smaller, unopened pale yellow buds clustered at the top are definitively freesia. Florists frequently utilize freesia to fill out wedding bouquets because of their distinctive trumpet-shaped blooms. In this specific arrangement, the pale yellow buds were chosen to draw out the yellow centers of the white orchids without causing the bouquet to look entirely white. I found this small envelope in my backyard, thinking it was just some random litter. When I looked closer, it appeared to contain a logged, fired cartridge case. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a ballistic fingerprinting envelope. In certain states, laws require federal firearms licensees, or FFLs, to submit a fired shell casing for every new handgun sold. Technicians load these casings into the National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, where high-resolution imaging captures the unique microscopic marks left by the firing pin and breech face. This database helps law enforcement directly connect recovered crime scene casings back to a specific registered firearm. My fiance's mother gave me this strange little gadget for my birthday, and we cannot figure out its purpose. It has a rounded plastic handle and a small rotating cylinder. Does anyone know what it is? It's a miniature portable lint roller. Unlike traditional large rollers made of tear-away sticky paper sheets, these compact versions often use a washable, reusable elastomer gel surface or tightly wound micro-adhesive sheets. When you roll the cylinder across clothing or upholstery, the tacky surface lifts and traps pet hair, dust, and textile fibers. Once it is full, you simply rinse the gel surface with water to restore its stickiness, making it a highly effective mechanical tool for wardrobe maintenance. What are these small round pellets? They are scattered all around my windowsill, but I haven't seen them on any other windows in the house. I have found them before and just vacuumed them away, but this time the pile is much larger. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is drywood termite frass, which is the scientific term for termite excrement. Unlike subterranean termites that use their feces to build mud tubes, drywood termites live entirely inside the wood they consume. As they excavate galleries inside the window frame, they produce these hard, perfectly hexagonal pellets. To keep their tunnels clear, they bore tiny kick-out holes and push the frass out, resulting in the sudden piles you see on your sill. You will need to contact an exterminator immediately to assess the structural damage. I just noticed a weird reddish line creeping up the side of my ceramic bowl. The line is visible on both the inside and the outside of the dish. I have tried heavily scrubbing and picking at it, but the stain is not going away at all. Does anyone know what it is? It's a hairline fracture in the ceramic glaze that has absorbed food particles. When ceramics are manufactured, they are fired with a hard, glassy glaze to make them waterproof. Over time, thermal shock from microwaves or dishwashers can cause microscopic cracks to form in this protective layer. Once the unglazed porous clay beneath is exposed, liquid from soups or sauces seeps into the crack. Because the food is trapped completely beneath the surface of the glaze, no amount of surface scrubbing will remove the stain. I received these hair products in a subscription box about a year ago, and I cannot for the life of me remember the brand. The labels have worn off, and I am running low just as the weather gets warmer and I want to wear my hair down again. Any ideas what brand this is? What you found is a product line by Salon Viva. Salon Viva is a specialized hair care brand that frequently distributes sample sizes through beauty subscription services and promotional marketing campaigns. In the modern cosmetics industry, companies utilize these targeted sample distributions to build brand loyalty before asking consumers to make a direct retail purchase. Their formulations generally focus on seasonal hair protection and volume control. To restock your supply, you can usually find their full-size shampoos, conditioners, and styling serums through their direct online storefront or authorized salon distributors. I found this blank sticker stuck inside my manga book, and I have no idea why it might be there. I hope this is the right place to ask, but does anyone know what it is? It's an anti-theft security tag, specifically an electronic article surveillance, or EAS sticker. Bookstores and retailers hide these flat, adhesive tags inside pages or packaging to prevent shoplifting. Inside that blank square is a tiny radio frequency circuit. When you purchase the manga, the cashier passes it over a deactivation pad, which overloads the capacitor and disables the circuit. If it is not deactivated, walking through the security gates at the front of the store will trigger an alarm. I found this strange stuff on my floor in a couple of areas around my house. It looks like tiny dark specks scattered around the baseboards. Does anyone know what it might be? It's spider droppings. While most people are familiar with webs, spiders also leave behind these small, dark liquid spots, usually concentrated under their webs or in corners where they hide. Spiders consume a liquid diet of digested insects, so their waste appears as tiny, dark, paint-like splatters rather than solid, dry pellets. If you clean it up and it reappears, you likely have a resident spider living directly above that spot. I came across this Sacagawea coin, and I am not a collector. Note the lack of a mint date on the front and the Wampanoag Treaty design on the back. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Native American $1 coin. Specifically, this is the 2011 issue commemorating the Wampanoag Treaty of 1621. As for the missing date, the United States Mint changed the design layout for these coins in 2009. They moved the mint year, the mint mark, and the motto E pluribus unum to the edge of the coin to leave more room for the artwork on the faces. If the coin has been in heavy circulation, the edge lettering can wear down, making the date very hard to see without a magnifying glass. I was boiling an egg, and it ended up looking like this. There is a strange white foam erupting and solidifying out of the side. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a hard-boiled egg that cracked during the cooking process. When an egg with a microscopic hairline fracture is submerged in boiling water, the sudden temperature change causes the air pocket inside the shell to expand rapidly. This internal pressure forces the liquid egg white out through the crack. As the liquid protein hits the boiling water, it instantly denatures and coagulates, creating that foamy, extruded appearance. As long as you boiled it yourself and the egg was fresh before cooking, it is completely safe to eat. I found this tiny circular metal disc sitting at the bottom of my tool bag. I mostly use these tools for car and boat maintenance, so it must have fallen off something important, but I cannot figure out where it belongs. Does anyone know what it is? It is a nut retention magnet that has fallen out of one of your magnetic drive bits or impact sockets. Tool manufacturers press-fit these small, powerful neodymium magnets into the base of deep sockets or nut drivers. When you slide a bolt or nut into the socket, the magnet attracts the steel and holds the hardware firmly in place. This mechanism is incredibly useful for automotive and marine mechanics who have to thread bolts into tight, hard-to-reach spaces where dropping the fastener into an engine bay would cause major headaches. You will likely find a socket in your bag with an empty recess at the bottom perfectly matched to this disc. I spotted this straight metal pipe on my neighbor's roof, right next to a curved candy cane-shaped one. We both moved into these new construction houses a month ago, and the straight, open pipe looks odd to me, though I am not a contractor. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a plumbing waste vent, commonly referred to as a stink pipe. While curved pipes on a roof are typically used for fresh air intakes or HVAC exhausts, a straight, open vertical pipe connects directly to the household plumbing drain system. It serves two functions. It safely vents toxic sewer gases outside, and it allows atmospheric air into the pipes to equalize pressure, ensuring water flows down the drain without siphoning the water traps under your sinks. However, the rubber flashing boot at the base of this specific vent appears poorly installed, which will eventually lead to a roof leak if the builder does not correct it. I just bought this jar of honey an hour ago. The seal is completely intact, but there is a thick, weird white foam floating at the top. I am concerned it might be mold and am hesitant to eat it. Does anyone know what it is? It's honey foam, and it is perfectly safe to consume. Because raw honey has a very low moisture content and high acidity, it is highly desiccated, making it a hostile environment where mold and bacteria simply cannot survive. The white ring at the top is actually a collection of trapped air bubbles, microscopic wax particles, and natural pollen that have risen to the surface. This separation often occurs in unpasteurized honey due to rapid changes in temperature or pressure during transport, and it serves as a reliable indicator of a high-quality, unfiltered product. I found this bizarre, blue, alien-looking thing while cleaning around the house. It has small white pieces that can be attached and detached from the main body, both inside and out. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a jawline exerciser. Popularized recently by internet fitness and cosmetic trends, this silicone device is designed to be placed between the teeth. By biting down repeatedly against the resistance of the dense silicone core, the user exercises the masseter and temporalis muscles. The small white components act as bite guards to protect the teeth from direct friction against the harder plastic base. While dentists often warn against overusing them due to the risk of jaw strain, they are widely marketed as a way to develop a more pronounced facial structure. Recently, whenever I turn on the hot water faucet in my sink, the water comes out brown for a second or two before turning clear. It also happened when I turned on an old jacuzzi tub that has not been used in years. Does anyone know what it is? It's a burst of accumulated iron, sediment, and rust coming from your hot water heater or plumbing. Over time, the internal steel tank of a water heater can slowly corrode, especially if the sacrificial anode rod is fully depleted. This creates iron oxide particles that settle at the bottom of the tank. Because your system uses a recirculating pump, this sediment can get agitated and pushed into the hot water lines. When a faucet is opened after sitting idle, that concentrated pocket of rusty water shoots out first. Plumbers usually recommend draining and flushing the hot water heater annually to clear out this metallic sludge. I found this unusual object washed up on Seaham Beach in the United Kingdom. It feels like it is made of stone, and I noticed some faint markings referencing Pratt & Sons ceramics. Does anyone know what it is and how old it could be? This object is known as a screw-in stopper for a ceramic jug or stoneware bottle. These were heavily produced between the late 1800s and early 1940s, with this specific style likely dating to the 1930s. Before modern plastic caps became the standard, breweries used these threaded ceramic stoppers to seal ginger beer and ale. The threads gripped the inside of the bottleneck to keep carbonation trapped securely. I found this in a box in the attic while cleaning out my dad's house. It was stored away among some valuable collection pieces, including old jewelry and Napoleon-era items. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a front plate from a Prussian officer's helmet known as a Pickelhaube. This specific style of brass eagle insignia dates back to the 1860s. Originally introduced in 1842 by King Frederick William IV, the Pickelhaube was worn by the Prussian military. The large eagle dominating the front served as the state emblem. These decorative plates were often kept as war trophies long after the spiked helmets were phased out of combat during World War I. I found this heavy metal tool in the back storage room of our high school machine shop. It was sitting near a bunch of collets, and there is a noticeable gray powder covering the head of the tool. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a grinding wheel dresser, often referred to as a deglazer. Specifically, it is a Huntington-style star dresser, based on designs patented in the late 19th century. When machinists repeatedly sharpen tools on a bench grinder, the abrasive stone wheel becomes clogged with metal particles or wears down unevenly, creating unwanted grooves. By pressing the spinning star-shaped cutters of this tool against the rotating grinder wheel, it scrapes away the glazed surface and trues the wheel back to a flat, perfectly square profile. The gray powder left on the head is simply the pulverized abrasive stone created during this process. I found these strange orange structures popping up in random places in my backyard in New South Wales, Australia. They are about 5 to 7 centimeters tall with fluted edges, and there seems to be no obvious pattern to their growth. Does anyone know what it is? It's a species of stinkhorn fungus known scientifically as Lysurus mocusin and commonly called the lantern stinkhorn. Native to Asia and parts of Australasia, this unique fungus emerges from an egg-like structure in the soil. As it grows, it forms a ribbed, angular stem that supports a distinct lantern-like top. Like other stinkhorns, it relies on a clever biological trick to reproduce. The dark slime on its tip, called the gleba, contains the spores and emits a foul odor resembling rotting meat. This strong smell attracts flies and other insects, which land on the slime and carry the spores away on their legs to distribute the fungus to new locations. My husband got this machine in the mail unexpectedly. Neither of us ordered it, and we have no idea what it is or who sent it. When you plug it in, a small brush inside the bowl simply spins, but that is it. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an automatic portafilter cleaner, a tool designed specifically for commercial espresso setups. When making espresso, the coffee grounds are tightly tamped into a metal basket attached to a handle, known as a portafilter. After brewing, a solid puck of wet coffee remains. Instead of manually banging the handle against a knockbox to dislodge the puck, a barista simply presses the inverted portafilter over this machine's spinning brush. The rotating blades instantly carve out and drop the used grounds into the collection bin below, saving time and reducing wrist strain during high-volume coffee service. I found this strange, muddy structure stuck to the exterior of my car in the Central Valley of California. It looks like dried clay and features several distinct tubular holes grouped together. Does anyone know what it is? This object is a nest built by a mud dauber, a type of solitary wasp. Unlike social wasps that build large paper hives, female mud daubers work alone. They gather wet soil and roll it into small balls using their mandibles, then carry it to a sheltered site to construct these cylindrical tubes. Once a tube is built, the wasp hunts for spiders, paralyzes them with a sting, and packs them tightly inside the mud chamber. She then lays a single egg on the last spider and seals the tube. When the wasp larva hatches, it feeds on the preserved spiders until it matures, eventually chewing its way out of the dried mud to begin the cycle again. These two plastic pieces are the only remnants of a connecting building set I used to play with as a kid. I clearly remember there being various structural connectors, including 90-degree angle pieces and full 360-degree wheels. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Connex piece. American inventor Joel Glickman created the Connex construction toy system in 1992 after experimenting with plastic straws at a wedding. The system relies on structural engineering principles, utilizing color-coded rods and specialized connectors that snap together to form rigid frameworks. Manufactured primarily by the Rodon Group in Pennsylvania, Connex allows builders to construct complex, load-bearing models like roller coasters, distinguishing itself from interlocking brick systems by focusing on skeletal structures and moving mechanics. These eggs were close to their expiration date, so I cracked them to cook breakfast for my wife. Inside the very last egg, I noticed this strange, thick white coil floating near the yolk, and I threw them out just to be safe. Does anyone know what it is? It's a chalaza. Inside a bird's egg, there are two of these twisted, cord-like tissue structures made entirely of dense mucin proteins. Their primary mechanical function is to act as biological suspension springs, anchoring the yolk securely to the poles of the eggshell. As the egg rolls or moves, the chalazae rotate, ensuring the delicate germinal disc on the yolk remains perfectly oriented toward the top for incubation. It is completely safe to consume, and a highly visible, thick chalaza actually indicates that the egg is extremely fresh. I found this weird plastic clip inside my 2009 Toyota Camry. It's the baseline model, so low trim that I don't even have Bluetooth, so I doubt it's anything high-tech. It looks like it has a slot to slide over something. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is an aftermarket seatbelt tension adjuster clip. Automotive seatbelts are designed to retract forcefully to keep passengers secure during sudden stops. However, for shorter drivers or passengers, the shoulder strap often cuts uncomfortably across the neck. This small plastic clip slides onto the seatbelt webbing and clamps down, introducing a tiny amount of slack. It prevents the belt from constantly pulling tight against your collarbone while still allowing the locking mechanism to engage safely during a crash. I have this white PVC pipe coming straight out of the ground at my house in the suburbs of Phoenix. I have a swimming pool, but I've never seen any water come out of this pipe, so I'm not sure if they are connected. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as an air induction pipe, specifically designed for your pool or spa jets. To create the bubbling massage effect in a spa, water is pumped through a venturi valve at high pressure. As the water rushes past a narrow section in the plumbing, it creates a vacuum. This PVC standpipe connects directly to that vacuum point. It draws ambient air down from above ground and mixes it with the water stream, producing the highly pressurized bubbles that shoot out of the pool jets. I was eating this pear when I suddenly saw this strange, dark brown, crystallized-looking spot right near the core. I immediately stopped eating because I was worried it might be some kind of insect damage or a fungal infection. Does anyone know what happened here? This object is known as a localized area of fruit rot, specifically an agricultural issue called internal browning or core breakdown. This physiological disorder occurs during commercial storage when the fruit is kept at low temperatures for extended periods, or if the fruit was harvested too late in the season. As the cellular structure begins to break down, natural oxidation causes the internal plant tissue to turn brown and become mushy. While it looks unappetizing, it is entirely harmless to humans. You can safely cut around the affected area with a knife and consume the rest of the pear. What is this round, white disc mounted flush against my office ceiling? And why on earth would it be making a faint, repeating beeping sound? This object is known as an enterprise networking antenna. Often mistaken for fire sprinkler caps or blanking covers for old electrical junction boxes, these dome-shaped devices are heavily utilized in modern commercial buildings. They house omnidirectional antennas connected to the building's main network, functioning as either a high-density Wi-Fi access point, a cellular signal repeater, or an RFID asset tracking receiver. The internal circuitry actively manages radio frequencies to provide seamless data coverage across thousands of square feet. The faint beeping you hear is an audible diagnostic alert, signaling to the facility management or IT department that the unit has lost power, dropped its network connection, or requires a firmware update. I found this fleshy thing out in my backyard in Oregon. My first thought was that it was some kind of animal fetus. I had to grab it quickly because my two dogs were playing outside and I didn't want them getting curious. Does anyone know what it is? It's a raw bird heart, most likely from a domestic chicken. Judging by the distinct conical shape, muscular walls, and the severed blood vessels at the top, it is an intact avian organ. Since it was found isolated in a residential backyard, it was almost certainly dropped by an opportunistic scavenger. Crows, ravens, and birds of prey frequently raid open trash bins, compost piles, or even snatch discarded meat from smaller predators, occasionally dropping their scavenged meals mid-flight. I received this small keychain object in a promotional goodie bag and have absolutely no idea what it is. It is made of plastic with a soft pad attached to it. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a combination smartphone stand and screen wipe. The hard plastic body features a small groove designed to clamp onto the edge of your phone, propping it up at a convenient viewing angle for watching videos on a desk. The soft fabric portion is a microfiber pad. You use this pad to safely buff away fingerprints and oily smudges from the glass screen without scratching the surface. These dual-purpose gadgets became popular, low-cost promotional items frequently branded with company logos and handed out at trade shows. I found this long metal tool sitting inside a kitchen drawer after moving into my new apartment. It is about 8 inches in length, and the front end features a hollow hexagonal shape. Does anyone know what it is? It's a plumber's box spanner, specifically designed to secure or remove the mounting bolt on a sink faucet. When installing a kitchen tap, the retaining nuts are often located high up underneath the sink basin, making them nearly impossible to reach with a standard wrench. The hollow body of this tool slides completely over the long threaded rod, while the hexagonal head tightly grips the nut. This mechanism allows a plumber or homeowner to easily rotate the fastener and secure the fixture in a deeply cramped, hard-to-reach space. I was cleaning out a room and found this highly flexible, textured, cylindrical object. Given the previous occupant's history, I initially suspected it might be some kind of hidden storage or related to substance abuse, but the shape does not make sense. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a male adult novelty item, commonly referred to as a masturbation sleeve or pocket stroker. These items are typically cast from soft, highly flexible materials like silicone or thermoplastic elastomers. The design usually features a textured internal canal and a discreet outer shell. While the context of the discovery caused understandable concern, this object has absolutely no functional connection to drug paraphernalia or substance abuse. It is simply a personal product manufactured for physical stimulation. I received this small jar of Sleep facial cream as an extra gift in a random Etsy order. There is foreign text printed across the label, and every time I apply it, I find myself wondering what the words actually translate to. Does anyone know what it is? It's a cosmetic night cream, and the text printed on the label is actually Greek. When directly translated into English, the phrasing reads, "Glow and First Wrinkles Night Cream." Cosmetic companies formulate these overnight facial masks with specific active ingredients to absorb slowly over several hours. The product is scientifically designed to hydrate the skin while you sleep, specifically targeting early signs of aging like fine lines, while aiming to improve overall skin radiance and elasticity by the morning. What is this bizarre, futuristic vehicle that looks like it was built for farming on Mars? I saw this autonomous machine roaming across an open field, and it clearly has no driver's seat or manual controls. Does anyone know what it is? It is an autonomous agricultural drone known as a Terra Scout. Built by modern agricultural technology companies, these robotic rovers are designed to scan and map farmland with high precision. As the vehicle drives along a programmed grid, onboard cameras and sensors capture detailed images of the soil and crops. The system processes these visuals to provide farmers with exact coordinates for large rocks that need clearing, pinpoint weed infestations, and analyze overall plant growth metrics. By automating the scouting process, it saves time and significantly increases crop yields. I am trying to remove the bolts on a Tesla air conditioning compressor, and standard tools are failing me. I tried an E8 Torx socket, but it was too small. An E10 Torx fit a few of them, but mostly it just slips right off and threatens to strip the head. Does anyone know what special socket is needed here? What you found is a fastener requiring an E-Torx Plus socket. Standard external Torx sockets have a 6-point star shape with slightly rounded points, but the Torx Plus design, introduced by Acument Global Technologies in 1990, modifies this geometry. It features flatter, broader lobes that maximize the contact area between the tool and the fastener. This specific design allows for higher torque transfer and virtually eliminates the risk of cam-out or stripping the bolt head. Manufacturers like Tesla frequently use these fasteners in high-tension components to ensure secure, automated assembly on the factory floor. Every time I go to Cracker Barrel, I see this giant, flat, woven basket hanging on the wall. It is large, very shallow, and made of wide wooden slats. Does anyone know what it would have been used for? It's a vintage tobacco basket. These large, shallow baskets were primarily used in the American South during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Farmers would stack their cured tobacco leaves on these flat wooden trays, usually made of interwoven oak strips, to display them safely at auction houses. The wide, flat design kept the fragile leaves intact while allowing buyers to inspect the crop closely. Their practical use faded out in the 1960s and 1970s when the agricultural industry transitioned to selling tobacco in large, compressed bales, but they remain popular as rustic wall decorations. I found this brown matter immediately under the peeling paint on the moldings in the dining room of our house, which was built around 1890. It is powdery and flaky to the touch and seems to be crumbling out of the wall. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is severely water-damaged plaster. In homes built around the late 1800s, walls were constructed using traditional wood lath and lime-based plaster. When moisture penetrates the wall system, often from a leaking roof or plumbing issue, the plaster absorbs the water. The liquid dissolves the binding salts within the material, causing a chemical breakdown that turns the once solid plaster into a powdery, flaky crust known as efflorescence. The dark brown color is the result of tannins leaching out from the wet wooden lath behind the wall and bleeding through to the surface. My son and I are playing an animal-themed board game, and there is one illustration I cannot figure out. It looks like a tiny blue marine animal with wing-like appendages extending from its sides. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Glaucus atlanticus, more commonly called the blue dragon sea slug. It is a species of pelagic sea slug that floats upside down on the surface tension of the ocean by swallowing an air bubble. It feeds on highly venomous marine organisms like the Portuguese man-o'-war. The sea slug actually extracts the stinging nematocyst cells from its prey and stores them in its own finger-like appendages to use as a defense mechanism against predators. Despite its tiny size, usually only about 1 inch long, handling one can result in an extremely painful sting. After moving into a new house, I found this strange hooked object sitting inside a garage cabinet. It is a rigid metal frame with a deep curve covered in a protective material. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a bracket for a truck window gun rack. Starting in the mid-20th century, companies like San Angelo Sports Products popularized these adjustable racks, which mounted directly to the rear window of a pickup truck. The curved hooks are designed to cradle the stock and barrel of a rifle or shotgun securely while driving over rough terrain. They typically came in pairs and were adjustable to fit different window widths. Although less common today due to changing vehicle designs, they remain a classic piece of automotive hunting gear. My friend came by to pick up a dresser and had this large wooden contraption in the back of his truck. It is clearly old and features a large wheel made entirely of wood. He likes it, but neither of us knows what it actually does. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a spinning wheel, specifically designed for spinning raw wool or other natural fibers into yarn. Originating in Asia around the 11th century, it revolutionized textile production by replacing the slow handheld drop spindle. The large drive wheel is connected by a drive band to a smaller flyer assembly. When the operator pumps the foot treadle, the wheel rotates, twisting the raw wool fibers into a continuous thread and winding it onto a bobbin simultaneously. I found this children's alphabet toy, where the rest of the alphabet has 2 items for each letter. For the letter Z, the first item is clearly a zebra, but I cannot figure out what the second oval-shaped object is supposed to represent. Does anyone know what it is? It's a visual representation of the number 0. In educational toys, manufacturers often struggle to find easily recognizable nouns for the letter Z. While a zebra is the universal standard, 0 is frequently used as a secondary option to teach early mathematical concepts alongside basic phonics. The concept of 0 as a true number was fully developed in India around the 5th century, fundamentally changing mathematics. On this puzzle board, the simple oval shape serves as a visual placeholder for that numerical value. What is this large above-ground tank? It was sitting between the car and truck pumps at a highway rest stop. The temperature was about 35 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and the air above the tank was shimmering and wobbly like the air over hot summer asphalt. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a diesel exhaust fluid, or DEF, storage tank. DEF is a solution of urea and deionized water injected into the exhaust stream of modern diesel vehicles to break down harmful nitrogen oxide emissions into harmless nitrogen and water. Because DEF freezes at 12 degrees Fahrenheit, these above-ground bulk dispensers contain internal heating elements to keep the fluid in a liquid state during cold weather. The heat escaping from these internal warming units caused the shimmering mirage effect you saw in the cold air. Someone brought some plants into work, and I noticed that the underside of the leaves are completely covered in these hard black bumps. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a fern frond undergoing reproduction. Unlike many other plants, ferns do not grow flowers or seeds. Instead, they reproduce using tiny spores. These distinct bumps on the underside of the leaves are called sori. They are essentially clusters of sporangia, which are specialized receptacles that produce and release microscopic spores into the wind. It is a completely natural biological process and is harmless to humans. I found this weird capsule on the ground at the local park. The green cap is made of aluminum, while the main body is plastic. Does anyone know what it is? What you found is a single-dose packaging capsule for over-the-counter male performance supplements. These pills are commonly sold near the registers at gas stations and convenience stores. The durable plastic vial and threaded aluminum cap are specifically designed to keep the medication inside completely dry and prevent tampering while sitting in high-traffic retail displays. I keep seeing these little green decal stickers everywhere on cars here in Connecticut. I tried running a reverse image search, but it was not much help, unfortunately. Does anyone know what it is? This object is known as a Lake George bumper sticker. The green shape is an exact geographical outline of Lake George, a long and narrow lake located in the Adirondack Mountains of upstate New York. Nicknamed the Queen of American Lakes, it is a highly popular summer vacation destination for residents of the Northeast United States. Visitors frequently purchase these die-cut vinyl decals from local souvenir shops to display on their vehicles. Which of these items surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments. For more unknown items, check out the other videos on our channel. Hit like and subscribe.